Hello and welcome along to another episode of this FM19 story, part of the Furniture with me, Daniel. It's season 17, episode 5, and today we play our last game of the calendar year on camera as we play at home to Manchester United in a close battle to try and reach the top 4. We are getting a little bit of distance to 5th and below, which surprisingly are held by Watford and Sheffield United. The 3 other usual challengers are a little bit below that, though of course they're still only 4, 5 and 6 points away, so it may just take a little bad run of form and we could be out of the picture entirely. So it is going to be an interesting spell over Christmas, but we have a lot of games we would be expected to win on paper, and also against teams in the bottom half of the league, so we really are going to have to be at our best to ensure that we get through that period unscathed and are still in the fight for the top 4, and more importantly are one of the leaders in that pack. But firstly, if you have missed any of the season so far, please do go back and check it out. It's been a really interesting season actually, a bit of difference between our domestic and European form, the difficulty of trying to juggle our priorities, and of course an exciting summer window as well. Some big names leaving the club that have been key over the last few years, and of course some big money signings, as you'd expect from a Champions League team. But interestingly, it's Brendan Rodgers in charge of United, and we're up against them today. We're 4 points behind and we've played a game more, so we are going to need to win this one if we harbour any ambitions of finishing above them. It looks like Arsenal are out of sight and are going to go and win the Premier League, and maybe they'll even go invincible as they're 15 games unbeaten so far. Alex Andrade's still out injured, as is Darren Palmer and Torquay United, so we're a little bit short of options in some areas, but United are missing a couple today as well. Most importantly, our defensive record's improving, still conceding at 1 a game, but it is just starting to creep down and we're looking a little bit more solid at the back. But let's go and have a look at the schedule to see what's been going on. We're unbeaten since our last episode on camera, and that means we've completed a 6-game run in the Champions League, 18 points from a group including Inter and Barcelona, and Barcelona remarkably lost to Inter and managed to go out into the Europa League. We obviously played them in the final a couple of years ago, so maybe they're not quite the force they used to be, even though they've got Venturini, who's an absolutely brilliant world-class player. But we get through with 18 points and a goal difference of 18 as well, and that's because of our couple of results since, but let's go through the games in order. So after that Inter game on camera last time around, we played Middlesbrough at home in the Premier League. A really disappointing performance actually. A 1-0 victory thanks to Carl McDonnell, but we looked a little bit shaky going forward, didn't create a great deal of chances, and were lucky to get the result in the end. Then away to Burnley, another bitter disappointment. It was all going so well after an hour. We came out after the break at 1-1, thanks to Lee Rutherford's early goal, and then Yaladian and Omar with goals before the hour, before Karsugi got a brace to get Burnley back into it. With them on 5-0 away at Austria Vienna, an early sending off really helped us there. Our backup team got an easy victory, and look who scored 4 of the goals. Torquay Hull, one of them a penalty, of course because he was on a hat-trick at that point, but otherwise he still scored 3 goals from open play, 2 of them headers from set pieces. Then Dimitri Lapin got a goal as well, as he continues his good season so far. Then away to Fulham it was a 3-0 victory, Rutherford continuing to deputise well for Andrade. Then Yaladian and Caterer got the first 2 goals, as we got another comfortable victory in the end. And then our backup team against Barcelona, a pretty nothing game for 80 minutes, but then we made 3 subs with 10 to go, brought on Ray Probert, Silla and Lee Rutherford, and it turned the game around completely. Kozul got a goal with 5 left, Silla on the 90-minute mark, and then Ray Probert off the bench in stoppage time with a 3rd goal to make it look even better. And that leads us into this United game today, a really special one actually. It's going to be an important one in the race for the top 4, and of course is a benchmark of how far we've come. Now the Champions League groups are out of the way, the lads haven't really got an excuse, it's just about focusing on the Premier League, and for the next month getting as high as we can. So let's go and have a look at our lineup for this one. The first game of 6 6 in the Premier League today. It's the early kick-off, and if it does go wrong, we will be watching nervously for the rest of the action. We're just about underdogs for this one, as United have got a far better head-to-head record. They've also won 5 games on the bounce in all competitions, though we're in pretty decent form ourselves. Let's have a look at the 11 we've selected for today. Gone back to our first choice team. Of course, Andrade's still out as we mentioned, so Lee Rutherford will continue up front. But aside from that, it's as you would expect. Stojanovic in goal with Cura and Moraes the fullbacks. McDonald and Nsingi at centre-half, Bacanez in the holding role, Keita and Omar in central midfield. Those three have the perfect partnership in there. And in Yaladian and Silla on the wings, forming decent partnerships with their fullbacks. And Lee Rutherford up front, who will hopefully continue his decent form as he deputises for our first choice striker. The likes of Kozul and Souza on the bench, as well as the inform Lapin. So if we do need some goals later in the game, hopefully we've got that option off the bench. But let's go and get into this game against United and hope we can get a famous victory at home. It's a 4-2-3-1 for United, and look who's taken over as their number one keeper. Shane Mason-Smith, who we sold to them in the summer, really doing a decent job there as a rotation option. Not the best rating, but not conceding many goals, and that's about all you can ask from him. He plays against us, his former club of course, and on the bench they've got Michael Duncan, who was on loan with us for a few years, flying in Europe this year, 6 goals in the Europa League, and a couple off the bench in the Premier League too. Plenty of good players across the squad for them. They've still got the big man Janssen up front, who's terrorised us in most of the games we've played, but let's go and give our team talk to the lads and tell them to pick up where they've left off. The lads are going to be happy about that. A couple are motivated as well. Stuart Jelling seems to be getting the team talks right, and he continues to do good things for us. But let's get into the kick-off with Rutherford taking it. Bacanez to Omar in the centre circle. Keita gets it wide to the right-hand side, but it's a woeful overhit pass. A poor start as we lose possession, and Rutherford has a free kick a couple of minutes later, but it just goes flying over the bar. 5 minutes gone, it's still 0-0, but it's been a decent start with Torquay on top. 7 minutes on the clock now as United put one into the box. McDonald and Silla combine to get it away. Cooper regains possession though, and it's out to the right hand side to Bastin. Into the box towards Nsingi, who clears away, but it's fallen to Damgard at the edge. Omar manages to clear it eventually though, and we still remain unscathed after 10, even though United have had their first spell of possession. 25 minutes gone, and what a dull game it's been so far. Janssen tries to change that as Yaladian gets one off the line from him. Moraes has got a yellow card and we've got a warning to stop him making challenges. I'm not quite sure how he's going to do that as a defender, probably by not getting near his man at all. Cooper thankfully overhits a pass for us, puts it out for a Torquay throw, and the highlight ends with now 10 minutes to the break, and it's still 0-0 and it's been a pretty poor game. Half time here at the Torquay Stadium then. Still 0-0 unfortunately. No real shots in the match. We have had 8 as a team. United have only managed 1, but both sides have had 1 on target, which just suggests that we're shooting from absolutely nowhere. It doesn't look likely that we're going to score, but fingers crossed we'll be able to nick one. A 1-0 victory would be a brilliant result in this one, and we're going to tell the lads to go and keep it up, as they have just about been the better side. We've got it at left back now, Manchester United, as they go from the kick-off in the second half, and in the end they punt it over the top to Janssen. Cura doing well to mop up. I say that as he gives it away, tries to switch it across his own goal. The one rule you learn in England as a young defender, don't play the ball across your own goal. Pedro Cura did that, obviously the Spanish mentality to keep it simple, but unfortunately it didn't work out there as United got in and forced a save. We're back with Omar in central midfield as he switches it to the right to Yaladian. No problem with the switcher play that high up. Through ball to Rutherford, brilliant save. Shane Mason-Smith tipping it behind for a corner, and that's going to be delivered by Omar. An outswinger to the back post towards McDonald, headed away and it's going to be cleared, and United have now got a chance to counter. A 2-on-2 though we're rushing men back. They're getting there quickly and it is a challenge in the end. Yaladian tries to clear the ball as Rutherford's back for a free kick. What a brilliant effort it was too. Shane Mason-Smith, the one thing we always knew, he's a very good goalkeeper and shot stopper, as as McDonald heads the corner wide. He's always been a brilliant goalkeeper, and he's proving so with his rating today, but unfortunately for us it was always the attitude. We couldn't deal with the nightclub in every few weeks. Just under 10 minutes gone in a second though, as Curran and Singy combine. Baccanes finds Omar deep in his own half, who gets it up to Rutherford to hold it. He's running into the opposition half, good challenge on him in the end. He appealed for the free kick, but he was never going to get it, as Mason Smith goes long downfield. McDonald knocks it down, and now Cater. Interesting challenge there, looked like he lunged a bit, but he got away with it as Rutherford's in. Shane Mason Smith with another brilliant save. He is going to absolutely kill us today. I can tell we're going to regret letting him go. The corner goes to Nsingi at the back post who heads wide, and Shane Mason Smith still keeping United in it. A throw at left back now to Felipe. United bringing it forward. Can they create a second chance in a match? Damgard coming over central midfield, and Janssen brings it forward now. We know he's got the quality to hurt us if he does get one chance, but Felipe's got it in midfield for now, and Rafael Henrique back to Purby. United keeping it across the back. Chavez with a long ball forward. Damgard into Janssen, and what did we say a minute ago? One chance is all he needs, and despite dominating the match 13 shots to 2, we're now behind at home to United. We're going to demand more from the lads as it's been a poor 5 minutes, and we're going to go and make a couple of changes too. Lee Rutherford's got a poor rating, but largely because Mason Smith's saving everything. I don't think he's been particularly poor, so we're going to take off the very frustrated Cura. Richard Quirk will come on for him. Silla's anxious, so we'll bring on Daniel Kozul. He's often a goal scorer off the bench as well. And Dimitri Lapin's in form, so he'll come on for Cater, who's not had the best game so far today. Just over an hour gone, and it remains 1-0 to United, and we will go very attacking if we don't get a goal soon. It's Richard Quirk with a throw on the right hand side though. He finds Lapin and now Baccanes out to McDonald on the left hand side. He's got a chance to deliver it in. Brilliant delivery from the centre half. Yeladian on the rebound, and now Daniel Kozul. A little bit of a glitch there, but it does not matter. The substitutes made an impact, and within 5 minutes of coming on, he's drilled one into the bottom corner from 12 yards out. Brilliant strike, and now Michael Duncan's on. Another former player who could come back to haunt us. Brilliant performance though so far, and it looks like they've taken Janssen off for that one. Why on earth would they have done that? He's always been a brilliant player who's caused us trouble, but we're really delighted that he's come off, and we're more than happy to see Duncan in his place. 10 minutes to go, and it's still 1-1, and we continue to be on top in the game. Duncan flicks on a long goal kick, and Singy goes back to Stojanovic. Can we build a brilliant flowing highlight from the back? McDonald gets it forward to Omar. Lovely pivot in midfield, and now we find Jeladian on the right. Charges into the box and shoots. It was a brilliant mazy run, but in the end, unfortunately, he put it over the bar. It didn't really trouble the keeper. 1-1 with 10 minutes left. Can either side go and get a winner? It's a free kick on the left for Omar. 5 minutes left to play now. Of course, we'll have a few of stoppage time as well, as he gets it wide to Yeladian on the right. And Singy's got a warning to be closed down as well, or to stop making the challenges, in fact. Not even the right one at all. He's on the yellow card, so we've got to be careful. We don't want to get a red card to a defender. I've got to be honest, it's the first time I've seen him have a poor game. 6.2's his rating here. I've never seen him get below a 6.8, so this is going to be a landmark moment, and not the most positive one either. Omar shoots from 25 yards, again pretty comfortable for Mason Smith, but he has to do his job and keep them out, which he's done fantastically today. 2 more minutes of stoppage time to go. We're not going to go all out attack, mainly because this is a decent result and we don't want to take the risk and lose it. It's Rutherford coming forward as the final whistle goes, and it is a draw here at the Torquay Stadium. Daniel Kozul coming off the bench to rescue us. We'll sympathise as the assistant managers recommended, because we were quite fantastic for the most part, but again we got caught napping on one occasion, and with their 2 or 3 shots in a match, Manchester United managed to nick a goal, and Singy made the error for that goal. Shane Mason Smith was fantastic, so we've got to go and say well done for him. And we do hope he sorts out his attitude and becomes England's number 1, just as he has the quality to do. We'll deal with the press conference off camera, as the media say we missed the chance to win, but again we're praising Daniel Kozul, something we'd end up doing after most games. Omar's been scouted by Bayern Munich. We know these messages come up every week. It's either McDonald to go to Manchester United, or Omar to go off to Bayern. Neither of them will be leaving, I can very much assure you of that. So it is just media speculation for now. as we go and look at the Premier League table. It is 1-1, so it does mean we're stuck in 4th place, and the 3 sides in 7th, 8th and 9th are playing today, and it could well close the gap with a good result. In the FA Cup we've drawn my beloved Luton Town, so a tough trip to Kenilworth Road, but with our position in the league and the fact we can't challenge for the title, as much as I'd like to help my hometown side, I am going to have to try and win it with Torquay. So we'll go quite strong in that one and focus on the Champions League too, and in the Premier League it's just about making sure we get in that top 4 to ensure Champions League qualification next year. So a pretty interesting game and a fairly good performance, but you can tell we really missed Alex Andrade today. If we go and have a look to see how long he's left out injured, just a day more to go. So I think we've got a week before our next fixture now, which is of course away to Bournemouth. They're in a relegation zone and he should be back, so hopefully he'll make an impact over Christmas. That's the hope anyway. We've had a couple of little injury problems this year. The same now with Torquay United. He scored those 4 games in a Champions League match and then he got injured just a couple of days later, which meant we didn't get to capitalise on the momentum. It's something that has been a problem this year, and unfortunately it doesn't look like ending anytime soon. If we go back to the dynamic screen to see how things are going though, just Boubacar Silla who's unhappy now, the rest of the lads are pretty content, and the dressing room atmosphere is fairly good, which means moving forward we shouldn't have an issue. The one other bit of news as well, Richard Quirk, our backup right back, but most importantly our homegrown youth prospect, he has now signed a new deal until 2038, so he will be here for the rest of the series, a slight increase to his wage, and he's now happy to be a rotation player as well, so it doesn't mean he needs that first team football. He's ended his problems with us personally, and that means we can look forward with one of our club's homegrown players, who's now at 25 years of age and continuing to do a brilliant job for us. He's actually closing in on 200 league appearances, just 4 away now based on those ratings, 68 in his first spell at the club, and 128 since rejoining. So that'll be a big moment for us too, as he tries to close in on being a record appearance maker. I've no idea who holds that title at the moment, so let's go and have a quick look to see if he's got any chance of making it. Let's see what the club records are then. 443 appearances. We might not get quite that far, so unfortunately he might not break the record. That's a bit of a sour note to end the episode on, but of course he's still doing a good job for us, and the fact he's homegrown at the club and playing for us in the Premier League and Champions League makes it all worthwhile in the end. Let's go and have a look at the schedule to see when we'll next be back. I am tempted to show you the Luton game on camera, but it shouldn't really be one of the biggest ones, so we're going to try and make it through to the end of January, either for the Chelsea game just before the transfer window shuts, or the City one just a couple of days later. Of course we'll have the Champions League knockout rounds as well, plenty of exciting games to come there, but I want to make sure I show you action from the transfer window, as well as one more big game in the league. So we'll be back for one of those 2 games on Sunday, and I hope you'll come and join me to find out how we get on. We'll of course have some transfer news as well, maybe not so much in terms of ins, but probably 1 or 2 who leave the club. But if you did enjoy this episode and that really strong performance against United, please do put a thumbs up on the video. Although it wasn't the 3 points we were looking for, it maintains our unbeaten run in all competitions. It now stretches to 7 games, and we've got a slightly friendlier run coming up on paper. Let me know in the comments where you think we need to improve in January. Of course that front 3 area is the most obvious one, particularly the striking position, where Andrade had a poor season last year and Lee Rutherford's coming up to 30. So we have got to think about that one long term, but otherwise I think we've got a pretty good squad. Maybe we can just improve in certain backup positions, but it's hard to go out and spend big money on players, particularly when you know they're not going to be in the first 11. So a little bit of thinking to do there, but I'm sure it'll still be an interesting window. And of course we're going to be attracting lots of bids for our players. We've already seen weekly scout reports for a couple in the media, particularly the likes of Omar and McDonnell. We had one for Omar after today's game, so we know that's not going to end anytime soon. Subscribe to the channel for daily FM19 content from this Torquay United story. We've got episodes every Sunday to Thursday at 4:30 as we continue to chase that Champions League victory. We've probably got got 2 or 3 more years to do it, so I really hope we can get across the line, and then if we could go and win the Super Cup too, that would be absolutely fantastic. Keep your eyes peeled over the next few Saturdays as we'll have FM20 plans and announcements, reaction to features too, and there's a couple of votes coming up as you can choose some of the saves in the series. Then we've also got 3 episodes a week from my Cricket 19 career. That's every Tuesday, Thursday and Saturday at midday. A massive thank you to everyone that continues to support that one, as well as the Ashes Test playthrough beforehand. I really am enjoying the game, and I hope you continue to enjoy the content. Then finally, the Snooker 19 career content. That's every Friday at 4:30. We're in the final event of the series now, the season-ending World Championships. It's the big one and we're trying to go on a run to the final, and we'll have action from every round along the way. Obviously, the sooner the series ends, the more we failed in that tournament. But a massive thanks for watching this one and your continued support with the series. I really do appreciate it, and I hope to see you next time for another important episode, as we've got January transfer window action, as well as a big Premier League clash.